Hi,
Hi,
Bill.
I'm Bill Gates and Maricopa County Supervisor, and thrilled to be doing another one of my coffee chats here today, and doing it virtually, of course, in this era of COVID-19. Really excited about my guest that I have this week is a good friend and colleague of mine, Clint Hickman. Clint and I serve together on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. He's currently serving as our chairman, and he's also one of the owners of Hickman's Eggs. Clint, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Bill. I thank you for the invitation. I've been wanting to do a real coffee chat with you, as you know, in your district for a long time. So one of these days we can do this for real in front of some of your supporters, I guess. So.
Well, sounds good. I will definitely take you up on it. But in the meantime, thanks for joining me here on Facebook Live today.
Great.
So as I mentioned, you're serving as chairman right now, and of course it's almost a cliche now to say that these are unprecedented times. But maybe you can talk a little bit about what this has meant for you personally, serving as the chairman, and basically what your focus is every day as you're addressing so many different levels of this crisis.
Well, a pretty easy one, Bill, especially for you to understand. You were the former chairman. You handed over the gavel to me in January, and that, I don't know about you, but that seems like a lifetime ago.
It does.
This COVID pandemic started in China back at about that same time or so, and then we started having it hit our shores. And yeah, this has been a very interesting time to serve on the board for our constituents. Ever since this thing started up, putting the teams together to work through these issues. I mean, it's still going on, and I'm not quite sure when the end of this is going to be. Hopefully, the end will mark the time when all of us can go see the Diamondbacks play or all together. Be able to sit in a crowded restaurant, not feel strange about it. I'm looking forward to that, and I know that both of us are working towards that end. One thing I noticed, I'm very proud to serve in this capacity during this time, because it's watching the county work, and even if it's telework or the things that are going on with the county. Getting a chance to hear where the county is basically like a big business that we run, which is customer service on all sorts of things, through the judicial, planning and zoning, vector control. There's still things that we have to do as a government that have to be done day to day, and that includes a lot of customer interface. So watching the county roll as a team on things that we've together put in place over the last couple of years, and people pointing back to our public health, how well they're performing, our emergency services department, how well they're performing, and just having calls from my own district saying, hey, you guys are doing a great job. Like today, in fact, a text came to me saying, hey, I'm having a little bit of a problem with my permit, and it's slowing my business down. And I found out, well, his slowdown was effectively yesterday, and his speeding back up is today because his permit got through. So it's nice to see this county perform still with the speed of business as we talk about. I couldn't be happier. I just wish it would get a little bit more back to normal.
Well, and I just want to make sure all the viewers here understand that you, Clint, personally, every morning at 8:30, now I don't know what it is, going on 10 weeks or 12 weeks, every morning you're on a phone call that lasts at least an hour. You have all the leadership, our county manager on down, public health, representatives from the county attorney's office. You're on there every morning, and that's a big commitment. But I think it speaks volumes to the commitment that the board has, but you're the guy who's actually in the seat. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that. And again, I'm on, now and then on a regular, cadence, but not like you are. And I'm just so grateful for you doing that and showing that leadership.
Well, you're welcome, Bill. I thought it was really important. I mean, don't sell yourself short. I mean, you're on 2 of those calls, and I think my colleagues would be on every one of those calls if we didn't have this little thing called open meeting law.
Yep.
So, but basically, these calls are just briefings, and we were talking about what's going on in the community. Unfortunately, death rate on a daily basis with this thing, the infection rate, how that's been changed with the surge testing that the governor has put forward. I mean, all sorts of things, all the way down to how this might or might not disrupt the county worker. And that's always saved for last. We're always talking about how it's affecting the community first, what can we do for the community, and then how is this reflective on our county workers. So it's great, but I wasn't unhappy to find out that we were doing things so well that we were able to eliminate the weekend calls so we could spend time with our families. I thought that was important.
Yeah, good point. It was 7 days a week for many weeks. So that was appreciated. Well, and I'm happy to come back to the Board of Supervisors, but I want to shift gears now and talk to you about your private sector work that you do and what an important role. I mean, it's always an important role, but especially now. So for those folks who don't know, Clint's family has started Hickman's Eggs and has been an institution in this valley for decades. So Clint, why don't you tell us, just kind of before we get into specifically what you all have been dealing with here the past few months, is how the business got started and what that's like growing up, being a part of such an important business in the valley.
Great. Love to talk about it. So Hickman's Family Farms was actually, last year was our 75th year in business. We started in 1944, but it actually goes back even further than that. My grandmother had a little backyard flock when she was had my dad, and we have pictures from him in 1928 surrounded by chickens in his stroller. So he's 91 now. So it's been a part of our bloodstream for a lot of years. So in 1944, she came over with my grandfather. He became an iron worker after being a tungsten miner in Kansas, and he had his first heart attack due to silicosis of the lungs. Sand was getting in his lungs, and they said, you either have to get out of this hole or you're going to be in a hole forever. And so he changed his career. Switched over to both concrete and metalworking and started building the dams and skyscrapers of Phoenix. And my grandmother started where she left off, got 50 hens, and was selling to neighbors and small stores. Grew the flock. My dad married my mom in 1956 or 57, and he gave my mom 500 baby chicks and said, "Congratulations, you are in business with my mom now." He didn't want to stop working at Standard Oil because his benefits were too good.
Yeah.
And it was up to those ladies to build the business to the point where he said, "Okay, I can leave this one now and basically come to work for my mom." And it just grew and grew. In 1998, basically about the time when my brothers and I and my sister took over the business, we went from 500 chickens to 350,000 chickens in Glendale. And then we started building some farms out west, and now between 3 states and 6 farms, it's around 10 million chickens now. So it's been an unbelievable growth curve. And you can see why my hair's gray now. It didn't used to be that way. I don't want to see if my beard would be gray like yours, but I'll do my best. So this pandemic has been really tough on the supply chain when it comes to food. And when it started, we suffered through. It was great to have a very popular product, but we suffered through supply chain problems just like everybody else, and it was hard to keep eggs in the stores. People were overbuying them, causing the price to go sky high. We couldn't keep eggs in stock.
I was going to say, it was almost as bad as toilet paper there for a while.
Yeah, but I don't know how much toilet paper, but eventually you can store toilet paper, but the eggs, you better eat them. It's either sell them or smell them. So it came back. The supply chain, once the stores put on some minimums or maximums on purchasing, then we were able to fill the stores back up and keep them filled up, and it's been that way ever since.
Yeah, because I remember, Clint, you and I talking when this was first kind of taking off in Washington State, and you were getting phone calls from the Costco's up there saying, get us supplies up here. And that was, that's when this was just we had no idea what it was going to become. Yeah,
I was a wanted man. There were people calling my cell phone about eggs and not politics. That was different. So it has swung back. So I'm glad everything's getting a little bit back to normal when it comes to that. I'm really glad to see the restaurants starting to pick up again. That was an important sector of our business, and it's not fun watching longtime customers struggle or out and out close their doors and or doing whatever we could do to help. We're making our first delivery to the Wynn Casino in Las Vegas today to get them ready, an original stocking order. So that is the most odd type of thing I've ever seen, where pictures coming out of Vegas where there's no one on the strip and everything's closed down. That is surreal, and I'd like to see that picture change again.
I mean, as hard as our economy's been hit by the loss of tourism, I mean, what I'm hearing is just apocalyptic up there in Nevada, because they are so dependent on the strip and tourism.
And looking at 2008, and we were such home building, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But can you imagine your industry just being there by looking off a sidewalk and seeing your entire tax base evaporate? So it is a great thing. Our governor's done a great job. Our legislators and the people of Arizona have done a good job of going into different sectors of industry. I'm hoping that we can bounce back awfully fast and be that shining model that will continue to have Maricopa County be the fastest growing county for years to come again.
No, absolutely. And I think it's important you talk about the silver lining here in the future. Fortunately, we have been really supported by the governor's office, the legislature, and then by the feds too. And and sometimes we like to let people know when we disagree with the feds, but certainly there's support, financial support that we've received, and appreciate your leadership and figuring out the best way to put that money to work on public health. You touched on that a little bit earlier.
Sure. The county has been, and those, by virtue of those 8:30 in the morning calls, just to see how the county stood up. And we have true costs into this, and we are providing a vital service to all the cities in Maricopa County, as well as unincorporated areas where we have to keep everything moving. We got to keep our people safe. And you've been on those decisions about buying PPE, finding it wherever we could, getting it stuck into the assisted living and elder care homes, knowing those are potential hot spots. Bill, you've been a leader when it comes to figuring out the homeless situation and how to protect those people and get them in situations so as to stop COVID spreading. It's great to be the point of the spear, but you got to have the staff for a spear to work, and that's what you guys and my colleagues have brought to the table as well. What an absolute benefit It has been for you to be there representing manufacturing, legal expertise, Steve Chukri on the Restaurant Association, Jack with his specialty in logistics and transportation, and Steve Gallardo. I mean, he's been a county worker, and we really put our shoulder into him when it comes to elections. He's been there. He's lived it. He's been a great voice too. We're budgeting for that. You know, there's things that are going to necessarily have to change about our election and our day of elections coming up. And you know, reflecting back, right at the start of the COVID bill, I think you guys were awesome to pull off that presidential preference election. There was other states that followed behind us and did not do so well with it. And we're now, our focus is back on that. We're going to have an election. We want it to be fair. We want it to be efficient. We want it to be safe. And the planning continues with that. And it's going to look a little bit different, but we're all going to work together, and I hope do a great job again in August like we did in March.
Well, and I'm happy you mentioned that, Clint, because when you became chair and you gave your chairman's speech, you said the number one goal and focus for you was going to be on having 3 successful elections. You had no idea this pandemic was on its way. But pulling off these elections have actually been 100 times more difficult than we could have ever imagined. And so kudos to you for your leadership there, and the team did a fantastic job on the presidential preference election, the Democratic presidential preference election. And you and I have been spending a lot of time meeting with staff and getting the plan ready for August and November. So thanks for your leadership on that. And also thanks for mentioning the board, because, you know, maybe people don't hear about us as much as some of the city councils, you know, around the county or around the state, or maybe the legislature. But I think that is due in large part to the fact that we all get along so well and work together. And no, we don't agree on everything, but we work through our differences. And this is a work, you know, you hear that saying, a working board. This is a working board. And we do bring our expertise. And it's just, I got to tell you, coming from another, you know, not to disparage where I came from, but it is such a privilege to work with you and the 3 other supervisors, and I just consider myself so fortunate.
Yeah, and Bill, you know, your last year was a very important year. That planning on elections had a lot to do with you and your chairmanship, and you know, it's not always we don't get the opportunity to do a whole lot of back slapping and have fun in this job, but we try to make it that way. But the great thing is there's 5, and I will say 5 very intelligent individuals who absolutely are laser focused on representing their districts, but also have a very holistic approach on how we should look at this county. And by virtue of being a chairman and working with that really sets you up with that holistic thing. But then that year is over is almost as fast as it begins, and then we really focus towards our districts again. And I think you've been doing a great job with your district. I think all of us have been doing. I definitely hear that district thing when I'm chairman, but I'm also one of those guys about, hey, this is my district, and these are our needs of the far West Valley, just like you do in the North. And it's a real privilege. It's a real pleasure serving with you guys. We're going to be here in a small window of time for Maricopa County, no matter how you slice it. But to be able to stand on the shoulders of giants before us, you know, in my district alone, I had Max Wilson and Jan Brewer to look at and how they served. You had many years of watching how Andy Kunasik did things. We're all and the great thing is we still hear from the people that got us to this point, and that's why we're in such great shape as a county. And it's an honor serving with you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, coming after Andy Kunasik and Betsy Bayless, talk about two tough acts to follow, but it's a great tradition that they put in place, and it's fun, like you said, for us to stand on their shoulders. Clint, I can't thank you enough for this. This has been very interesting. I've learned a few things today. Hopefully our viewers have too. And I just want to encourage everyone, during this time where we don't have people attending in person, they can still participate in our meetings. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for setting things up so that people can call in. They can join via webinar. They can email us. And in fact, we've got our next Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow morning at 9:30. So hopefully some of our viewers can jump on. We got a lot of important issues. And again, Clint, thank you so much for your leadership. Thanks for being a part of this. And most importantly, thanks for making sure that we've all got eggs, and we had eggs through. It would have been ugly in the Gates house. As you know, it was a major staple. But I was always able to find eggs. You even brought some by personal delivery. So those Uber Eats people, they've got nothing on you. So,
It's my pleasure.
Clint, thanks a bunch, and I'll see you tomorrow at the board meeting.
See you tomorrow, Bill. Thanks for the opportunity. Hi. Good night, everybody.
Thanks so much, Clint. And everyone, thanks for being a part of this week's County Coffee here, virtual County Coffee. And we will be on Facebook Live again next week with another great guest. So again, thanks so much, and stay safe, everybody.